Hello, YouTube. I'm leaving work early enough to where the sun is still out, so fuck, I might as well make a video. One of the things that's nice about my computer being down and me not whiling away my evenings calling people names is I've had a lot of time to read, and I've just been fucking devouring books. I went last Saturday and I got 4 more, but a couple of weeks ago I had bought The Arms of Krupp, and it's an 873 page book, and really I think when I bought it, I said to myself, you know what, I'll probably never read this, but it was a first edition. The cover was in real good shape, and I couldn't resist. They only wanted $15 for it. So I finished the 10,000 Year Explosion, which was regarding human evolution in the last 10,000 years. That was pretty interesting. And then I picked up this Arms of Krupp. The fucker's so heavy, you know, I can't read it in bed. I gotta sit on the couch with this thing and put it on a nightstand. But I'm over 600 pages into it, and within a couple of days I'm gonna finish. It's fascinating. Not only because I enjoy military history and I enjoy German history, but the guy did an excellent job. You know, he tells you all about the various people that end up running the Krupp Steel. It's a family business, and I think it's still a family business. I don't know. I think the book ends like in the 60s sometime, so we'll see what's going on then. Right now I'm in like the Nuremberg war trial times, and Alfred was put on trial and put in jail for 12 years, and he only stays in jail for like 3 years, and the Allies get him out, you know, the Americans and the French and the British. Once the Russians start fucking around and the Korean War starts, they say, hey, we may need this motherfucker, you know. And Alfred was a terrible man. They used slave labor. Damn, the sun is fucking killing me. They used slave labor, and the conditions that these slaves had to live in were so bad that, you know, they were inspected by the SS, and the SS said, man, you can't do this. You got to feed these fucking people. You know, the SS said, Mr. Krupp, you're not treating them well enough. They didn't feed them. They didn't house them. They didn't give them any kind of air raid shelter. They didn't even allow them to dig their own slit trench, because here they're in Essen, they're in the Ruhr, and they're bombing the shit out of it, you know. And every time they bomb the hell out of it, they're killing a couple of hundred of these slave laborers. It was so bad. There's like 120 pages in the book where they detail Krupp's involvement with the slave labor. And he's got Russians, he's got some Jews, not too many. But they're grabbing French people, they're grabbing Belgians, and fucking working them to death and not feeding them enough. They get sick and they die. One of the most unusual things is, you know, these people are sick and dying, but there's men and women, slaves. And even though you're in the state that you're probably going to be dead within a month, apparently you still want to have sex with women that are going to be dead within a month and that haven't had a bath in a year, because these slave women are having babies. And that's probably the worst part of the whole thing, is obviously they don't let them keep their babies. The babies go to, like, a baby concentration camp where they all die. They all die within a month because they're not feeding them enough. And the Germans, being Germans, and especially the Krupp company, they have these meticulous records of the babies' names, how old they are, and what they figure that they died from. So it's all on record. You know, the prosecution at Nuremberg went for weeks detailing the Krupp's involvement in this, and they only give them 12 years. When some of these other guys got hung, I don't know. Apparently, as the prosecution went on at Nuremberg, the punishment got to be less and less. That's what they said in this book. Krupp was definitely guilty. Alfred, he got out in like 4 years because they wanted him to start hammering out steel production again. They didn't have enough munitions, so I'm guessing that the rest of this, you know, the next section of the book is going to be Krupp making tanks and shit for the French and for the British, because they're in bad shape too. You know, their economy is fucked up too. It's a very interesting book. I also got a book about the War of 1870. I think I'm going to go right to that one next, because I remember reading something when I was a kid, and when I say kid, I mean in my 20s. I remember reading something back then. I was reading about the Paris Commune, which happened right after the Franco-Prussian of 1870. And it was about this city that the Germans took over, and it was a winemaking area, and there was just thousands and thousands of bottles of wine being stored in this city. And apparently the Germans kicked out their officers, set up roadblocks all around this city, and held the city until they drank all that wine. The part that I remember the best was, you know, they tried to get in there and get these guys out of that fucking city, but you couldn't get into this city on horseback because there was so much broken glass and bottles. Apparently horses don't like to step on bottles. They would not enter the city. These guys drank thousands of bottles of wine. So when I get into this 1870 book, I think that's what it's from. I had a hard time finding anything about that Franco-Prussian War, but I finally found one. It's all in nice condition, like $4.50. This is all going to that King book in Detroit. So, I'm still offline. I read comments at work. But that's about it. That's it. I'm going to sign out.